we're gonna talk about Twitch's automatically opted in generative AI. If you didn't know, they did that, and it really, really sucks. So if you haven't gone into your settings, you are automatically opted in to having your stream, and I'm not sure, they're very unclear with this, which is why we're going to read an article about this with clips from a stream where like representatives of Twitch explained quote unquote things. It's unclear if they're also using like Twitch chat. I haven't read this full article yet because I kind of wanted to review it with or on stream. Let's look at this article. Okay. Twitch says quiet part out loud. Amazon AI is opt out because nobody would opt in. Exactly. Today, Twitch announced that Amazon plans to scrape the popular live streaming platform for AI training data. Amazon also announced recently that they're trying to make like the biggest data center ever in Texas, which also means like a fuck ton of emissions. Like, it's awful for the environment, awful for anyone who lives nearby, people's health, awful for the electricity grid. It's all bad, and they're trying to make the biggest one. Wow. During a follow-up stream, Twitch staff attempted to answer questions and assuage users' concerns about the overwhelmingly unpopular decision. It did not go well. Who would have thought? Over the course of around an hour, Twitch Chief Product Officer Mike Minton and Head of Community Mary Kish, I have never paid attention to these people, fielded an avalanche of questions, principal among them, why not make this feature opt-in by default, thereby giving those who don't hyper-vigilantly have their finger on Twitch's purple pulse in actual choice instead of opt-out. Yeah, they also put it at the bottom of the security settings, something no one ever fucking looks at, and they know that. Now, why is it not opt-in, said Minton. That's what everybody here is spamming in chat. I get it. Let me opt in versus making me opt out. There's an honest answer, and I think most of you can probably appreciate this. If it was opt-in, nobody would opt in. That's honestly the answer. I don't appreciate that. I don't think anyone appreciates that. I think you're couching your words to be like, you understand, right? We have to take advantage of you because otherwise you wouldn't engage with the shitty thing we're doing. We have to force you. Thanks, bud. This was followed by a torrent of all-caps chat responses that included, then don't roll it out, so why even do it? And if no one would opt in, that means no one wants it. I'm gonna look like I ate a lemon this whole time because I know that this is gonna be
Is it not opt-in?
Awful to watch.
That's what everybody, as I hear spamming in chat, I get it. Let me opt in versus making me opt out. Well, there's an honest answer, and I think most of you probably can appreciate this. Like, if it was opt in, nobody would opt in. That's honestly the answer. So by it's going to be on by default, and as I said, almost every content service in the world is on by default. I think the thing that we're doing here that is unique and different is respecting your wishes to opt out of model training. And I know this is not a fan favorite. I know it's very upsetting to the community, but this is where we are.
Great. I don't know. I don't know if whoever his bosses wanted him to be that honest. If you knew there was shit in the food, no one would order it. Whoa, at least they're honest. Yeah, no, I'm so sick of giving companies like the benefit of the doubt like that. Like, aw, at least they told us about the shitty thing they did. It doesn't make it better. It matters what you do, not what you say, especially in any corporate shit. They will say anything. They don't have... Their goal is to make as much money as possible. It is never in the interests of you. It's about money, and you have to exploit people to make money at the end of the day. And that's not me saying you should, like, this is how it is, therefore just do it, don't care about anything. That's me saying things need to change. I have gotten a little doomery recently, but I'm never saying like the world's awful and my conclusion is you shouldn't do anything about it. You should just take advantage of people because that's how the world is. That's never my conclusion. The remainder of the stream saw users barrage the duo with questions equal parts fast and furious, to which they replied in empathetic tones while completely failing to justify the new feature. The crux of Minton's argument was the idea that companies like OpenAI and Anthropic are already scraping the entire internet for data anyway, so Twitch and Amazon, the smallest of beans, can't help but follow along. I like that the author of this article is clearly as mad as I am. Yeah, this right here is basically why my conclusion to the world sucks and everything is shit is not engage in the shit, become the shit. Be the shittiest of shit, win at shitting. That's not my conclusion, but it's obviously Amazon's. If models were trained on your VOD, it may or may not even have been Amazon, said Minton. You are a huge company. Individual people can't go after Anthropic and OpenAI. You could. You could go after them for stealing people's shit on your platform. It was likely any one of the dozens of companies that are creating models that are using any publicly available content they can find. It's a delicate topic, and I think our community has the reaction that I expected you guys to have, said Kish in response to a question about streamers potentially losing money because viewers might leave Twitch over AI. Because this is industry standard, going other places won't absolve you of this. They could choose to be the platform who's like, we are never going to implement AI, we're never going to do all this shit. And then people might choose them over other platforms because, as I said, going other places won't absolve you of this. You could be the absolution. You just don't want to. It's not as easy as saying everyone's just gonna leave, because this is something that's really across the board. It's something that's happening on live streaming communities across the space. But of course, when it comes to live streaming, Twitch likes to position itself as an industry leader, so these words rang hollow in me. You could be the industry leader of not implementing AI. There you go, there's a unique thing. If Gen AI is industry standard, why are you not helping us fight against it? Asked one chatter. Why are you rolling over and hiding behind excuses? In chat, Kish suggested that some at Twitch, herself included, might be trying to do exactly that. They're not gonna listen. The opt-out numbers will help us continue to reiterate that our community is not receptive of AI in any form, she wrote. I'm sorry, but I am reading your comments and do hear you. Minton and Kish also took great pains to distinguish between Amazon's AI training and AI currently in use on Twitch, which already powers captions, safety, and newer features streamers can opt out of, extreme summaries, and auto clips. Twitch features, said Minton, are powered by pre-existing models, not whatever Amazon has cooking. But they are cooking that. As for how Amazon plans to use Twitch streamers' live stream VODs and chat, it's bewilderingly unclear. I'm not responsible for Amazon's training efforts in terms of use of this content, generative AI training, said Minton. I would assume anything that's part of your channel content is fair game for training. We do know that it's being used to train models, but it's a broad stance of what you can train a model for, Kish later clarified. Giving you a list of 500 use cases I don't think is actually helpful. Twitch does not plan to add any sort of labeling system that will help users tell at a glance who's opted in and who hasn't. Great. Additionally, even if you opt out, your chat data can still be used if you spend time in the chat with someone who's opted in. Well, that answers my question, because they didn't make that clear. That was my question of, like, if you're in a chat with someone who's opted in, is that being trained? Apparently, yes. So you can't check to see who's opted in and like not chat somewhere because you don't want to be trained off of. Great. Oh.
Have you already been training models?
Twitch has not been training models. I can't speak to what Amazon is training or not training as it relates to any type of specific usage of content.
Which I'm sure they're mad about.
You know, what's interesting is I think, you know, it's 10 to, depending on how you count it, 10 to 25 companies around the world that are creating some of these what we'll call frontier large language models. I don't know, and I don't think, you know, I don't know this conclusively, but I think it's a pretty reasonable assumption that almost any publicly available content is being used for model training in one form or another, whether permitted or not. So I think we also just need to acknowledge that, you know,
so I'm going to do it too,
because
I want the money too. Don't leave me out.
Our direct control.
I'll exploit people too. Wait. Has Amazon already been using Twitch data to train its models? Also unclear. Twitch has not been training models. I can't speak to what Amazon is training or not training as it relates to any specific usage of content. But again, other people are almost certainly doing it, so Amazon, only one of the biggest companies in human history, really doesn't have any choice here. I hate that excuse. People do it all the time. Like, everyone else is doing it, so we have to. Companies do it all the time. And usually, they're colluding. They're counting on other companies doing the bad thing, so that when they do it too, it's like, well, everyone's doing it. There's 10 to 25 companies around the world that are creating some of these, what we'll call, frontier large language models. And you know the government, the people in government that we have in America and the UK right now, which are where a lot of companies are based out of, which is why it's important. They aren't going to make any regulation laws. We are in the scamming era right now. Reminds me of PlayStation stopping physical games. Yeah, another very unpopular decision. I would not be surprised if Xbox and other follow. Yeah, because it'll be like, if a company can get away with it, they will do it. Amazon has seen that everyone else has gotten away with it, and instead of being like, I'm gonna try and stop this, I'm gonna try and hold them accountable on behalf of every single creator on my platform who hates this shit, they're like, oh, now we can. Because no one can stop us. And their other options also suck. It's a race to the fucking bottom. So I think we also just need to acknowledge that there's a lot here that is even beyond our direction. Not beyond Amazon's direction. Minton did clarify, however, that Amazon and Twitch don't sell data to other third parties, which is, I suppose, the infinitesimally smallest speck of something. The other reason this is the era of scamming is because every website now wants your ID to check that you're an adult. Except the companies that they use to scan your ID are not secure. There are data leaks all the fucking time, and your identity can very much be stolen with that information. We do not resell the data to other companies that are training models. Yes, because you want the exclusive rights to it. Not because you are doing something for us. That's not what's going on here. We're not profiting or making any money by selling your data. Viewers in chat also repeatedly brought up a pre-existing user voice feedback form requesting that Twitch make AI features opt out by default. Minton and Kish acknowledged it, but once again acted as though Twitch's hands were tied. We can't do anything on the platform that we own and operate, guys. It's out of our hands. I think my biggest pet peeve is companies acting like they are the most helpless little stupid babies that just don't know. CEOs do it all the time too. They're like, you know the myth of like the CEO genius, where they're like all the time being interviewed and shit and going like, I'm so innovative and smart and a genius and like, that's why I'm rich, because I'm a genius. And then wasn't it fucking, not Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos? Is Bill Gates the dead one? I don't care. One of those CEO billionaires. When it turned out that they were in contact with Epstein after he was convicted of human trafficking before he was arrested again, but very publicly was known that he was convicted of human trafficking after, through the emails, they were like, hey, you were talking to Epstein. That's gross. He was like, I'm so stupid. I trusted him. I didn't know. Which is it, buddy? Are you a genius who earned all your money through being a genius? Or are you a stupid little baby who doesn't know anything and trusts everyone? Wasn't this clear in the user voice? Said Kish. There's no misunderstanding. We're not tone deaf in terms of knowing where the community stands. We're just not going to listen because we don't have to. That was me, not the article. Said Minton. We hear you loud and clear. In response to that, and similar questions, the two again encouraged users to opt out, with Kish even noting that she'd done so with her own channel because she's aware that members of her community would disapprove otherwise. Minton, on the other hand, said that if, hypothetically, he were a streamer, he'd probably keep the feature on. The guy who doesn't stream? I saw a recent survey that said more than half of adults now use some form of AI on a daily basis. Can't judge this because I don't interact with people enough. But I want to say, if you use AI, if you talk to a chatbot to search things, or I keep seeing people say they do research with a chatbot, and there was the whole thing with Hank Green, right? Yeah, Hank Green, science communicator. Turns out he was using AI for some research instead of, that man has a lot of money now. He's very experienced in the industry. He can fucking hire someone else to do research. And also, it was apparently evident to knitters that he was using AI because he got shit wrong and made very patronizing assumptions about knitting, and then kind of tried to backtrack on that by talking to a really great author who wrote the book, The Fabric of Civilization, but was still patronizing in that. And also weaving and knitting aren't the same thing. I think this also comes from that, the worst of science was the era when, just after the Enlightenment era, when people were uber logical but also not acknowledging their biases. AI has biases. It is not an unbiased thing you are talking to. It literally has all of the biases. It is trained off of human beings who all have biases that are not weighted the same. There is a lot more bias on the internet against black people than there is against white people. So there is a bias inherently, because it's trained off of the internet, which is very racist, against black people. It's a very simple equation, but people are treating it like it is an enlightened machine, and it's marketed like that, so it's understandable why people who are not familiar with how it works and what it is trained off of think that, but it is extremely dishonest. There are also people who think they can work around the bias. They acknowledge that AI is trained off of human beings and therefore holds biases in its data that will be expressed in the shit it spits out because it's just predicting the thing you want to see or hear. You cannot outsmart the exploitation machine. You are not immune to propaganda, is the thing we talk about all the time. You are also not immune to the biases of AI. You cannot outsmart it. If you're using it, you're doing something wrong. I'm sorry. It's a pretty black and white issue. Even I thought at a certain point that AI translation of different languages, being able to have that really fast, would be good. But the more things AI is applied to, the more I appreciate that human beings do those things. Because translation is an art, and localization is such a human thing. It can't be done by AI. Generative AI, even if it isn't useless, which I think it is, the harm outweighs the good. It's not worth it. The only up is making a shit ton of money right now, and I don't give a fuck about that. In fact, I hope Amazon goes the fuck under. I hope Google does too. I don't want them to make more money. Its usage is as high as it's ever been. Now, you wouldn't know that from reading Twitch chat, of course. That is a general population type study. It's almost like because your community is so like that, and despite your claim that most adults use it on a daily basis, which I haven't seen like an actual unbiased study of that, so that could be just something they're saying because obviously the dread of that benefits them to be like, everyone else is doing it, you should do it too, and you should use ours because ours is special. If it's so the other way on your platform, maybe you should listen to those people and know that no one's ever gonna trust you again, at least. That is a general population type study. It's also true that the anxiety and anger about AI is as high as ever. Those two things are in conflict. Our bet is that in the long run, the concerns of creators and all the participants in the ecosystem will be addressed. But you're not going to address them. That's for someone else to do. And that in the same way past technology transformations had concerns that were addressed over time by focusing on improving the experience for creators and viewers on Twitch. It helps viewers understand what's going on. I also see this where it's like, this is how technology goes. This is how progress happens. I truly think the most important thing in the world, in life, is consent. Uncoerced, informed consent. People are not consenting to have their creations put into your environmental damage machine. Therefore, it's wrong. It's that easy. You do not have the consent, therefore you shouldn't be able to do this. And there should be things in place that keep you from doing this, but there aren't. The other problem is like, other times that we've been implementing new technology, there have been big problems and ethical dilemmas that needed to be talked out without money being the only goal. Like something like AI glasses, progress in technology, yay, we made something new. What about all of the privacy concerns? What about all of the problems with people perving on other people? Those have to be part of the conversation, and they never are with companies. There is no ethical concern. If they can get away with it, they will do it. He added, however, that I understand that I live in a bubble that is not your reality as it relates to this technology and the use of it. Thanks, that does not help anyone. None of this left viewers feeling particularly satisfied or hopeful. Something else Minton was only able to meet with vague platitudes. I saw some folks comment in chat, he said. It's always hard to do these streams where the community is super angry. It's not that we're unprepared. Just know that what we're trying to do is triangulate answers to questions that are complex questions that have, in some cases, concerns from a what we say can get us in trouble perspective. This is even worse because you're making... Another reason I hate CEOs, they don't have to deal with the backlash to the shit choices they make because they can send someone like this guy to go talk about it for them. He has to take the brunt of the anger for something he didn't make the decision on. Fuck that. If you're gonna do this shit, if you're the one or the group of people that forced this decision through, show your fucking face and talk about it. Don't make some other guy do it. Not just with the community, but literally in trouble in different ways around the world. Obviously, I am not speaking on behalf of Amazon in terms of any of their efforts. So there's the triangulation going on in terms of trying to find an answer that is as hopefully as helpful as possible to explain what's happening here, and why without breaking into jail. That's perfectly vague, thanks. Okay, thank you, Nathan Grayson.